All right. James.
How's it going, Rand? This
Good.
is James from Dutch Valley Food Distributors in Myerstown, Pennsylvania. Um, Rand had asked me to talk about some of our success with fuel locks because it's been working well for us.
Well,
We
it's been 7 years now.
Yeah, it's since March of 17. Um, we've been using fuel locks additives. It started out with just the fuel additives, and we use some of the sprays now. We have used the grease, and we're in the testing of the oil additives right now. But when we first started using the fuel additives, we were using another brand, and we were putting 10 gallons of additive in our 10,000 gallon tank every fuel drop. So our fuel drops were around 7,500 gallons roughly, but we were putting 10 gallons of that in, and the price was much more than the fuel locks, and we were all a little skeptical about interchanging 1 gallon for 10 gallons, and we went to fuel locks about 6 years ago, um, full tilt in our big tank, in our refill tank, and we haven't had super cold winters, but we've had cold snaps, and this year we had a pretty good cold snap where um, the winterized treatment has worked well. So now we have been using it now for 6 years, and there's no more filter plugging than there's ever been. Um, the trucks our trucks, when we first started doing it, our biggest thing was DPFs because we had a lot of Cummins ISX 871s and 2250s, and the DPFs, pulling DPFs out were pretty regular in them, and the 2250s, we would pull them out like every 2 years, 250, and just check them and clean them and everything else. And then we ended up actually waiting till 5 years, roughly 5 years. The mileage number was 500,000, but we also looked at like the use of the truck. If it was a local truck or an OTR truck, we'd wait till 500,000. We'd pull them out, and the DPFs have held up a lot longer. And the only reason we would change them anymore were because of cracks. If they would have any cracks in the DPF or anything like that. So that was a big money savings in labor, because if anybody has ever pulled a DPF out of a T680, they know that it can be a real pain. You got to pull the whole unit outside of the truck and pull the DPFs and everything. So I just thought it would be a good idea to really put some input in there and say that from a mechanic standpoint, it has really helped us. It saved us money, which to us is one of the biggest things: saving money and saving labor. Um, I use it in my personal stuff. Me and my buddies, we use it in our personal sports cars. We usually run 91 octane, add some fuel locks to it, and they seem to love it. I don't know why. I don't know the exact answer, but it works well. So
You mentioned also that you're seeing less incidences of in between PMs that you have to address, and
yeah,
that's all been extended. And
yeah, and we do run, all our trucks have full emissions on they're all legal trucks. We buy fuel mileage tuners for the trucks. It does add horsepower, but we look at the fuel mileage savings, and all the trucks that have the tuner on randomly will throw a data erratic code for the DPF and the X15s, and we have two drivers that religiously use fuel locks in them, and if they were here, I would get them to say something, and they don't ever see that code with their trucks. I've never seen the code with their trucks, which, to do any kind of scientific testing or anything like that, but I think the proof's in the pudding that something that the ash load sensor is seeing in the other trucks versus those two is different. So
And these are trucks that fill up on the road, right? Primarily.
they
They'll fill up here, but they'll also fill up on the road,
they
right?
fill up here and fill up on the road. All our OTR trucks, yes, they fill up on the road. Yeah.
Okay.
Our local trucks, we don't have a lot of X15 efficiency series yet, so they're that are tuned. So just for them to see the codes, right now would be rare if they would see any, but they fill up here all the time. And I haven't seen any with them, but like I said, we only have one that's tuned on the local, or two that's tuned on the local side right now. So,
Gotcha. What's your, over the last 7 years, what's your overall feeling about the mileage that you guys are getting? Because I know in the beginning in particular, you were paying a lot of attention to that.
yeah, when we first started paying attention to fuel economy, we still had some 60 series Detroits, and then we had the early 871 Cummins, and we started seeing it was, the fuel mileage it actually would show fuel mileage. The fuel mileage, I would say you'd see like 0.2, but 0.2 is huge over a 3,000 mile week. And now it's hard to really track that, but we had an electronic system that we could graph and see, because there's so many variables in fuel economy when it comes to load, route, all that stuff. So we would watch the same trucks, and the same guy that runs the fuel ox religiously, he still does. We watched his truck, and it was probably about an average of 0.2. It could have been 2 to 0.3, but more. But back then it was. Maybe,
I think you were, if I remember correctly, you told me you were between 4% and 6%.
Yeah, it was. It was. I just it stinks because I actually had a chart back then. I actually had some paperwork on it, because we tried to get like real facts before I tell anybody about stuff. So.
Well, I think over the course of the last few years too, you realized in the beginning, you did your homework in the beginning, and a lot of the emphasis migrated to emissions over the last few years, which of course now we've already discussed. So
our goal for us, we have a really good crew of drivers, and we like to keep them happy, but we also keep our trucks over to like 1.3 million possibly, somewhere in that range, or over 1 million miles, and we don't do any rebuilds unless it absolutely would need a rebuild. And even when we do, we have had liner issues on the coolant side where the head gaskets would fail, but it does, like I said, our drivers, we try to keep the power up, but we also try to keep the emissions in check. And we actually pull the intakes off, and we clean the EGR systems also too. And the amount of carbon deposit that you see in the head and in the intake and stuff, it's not nearly as bad on the trucks that when we first do them, because we don't tune the trucks. And depending on which truck it is, one truck in particular, the intakes were much cleaner, and it's the guys that run the fuel ox more regularly than it is our other guys. Some of our other guys worry about dumping the small bottle of fuel ox in yet because it's hard to get them past because we only have the 4 ounce OTR winter treatment. So some of them are a little hesitant. They still think putting a quart in there makes the difference. So,
more is better.
Yeah, more is better, but I don't know what it is, but the concentration of the fuel ox really works for us. So And you know, next year we're planning on being full fuel ox and OTR additive all year round. So, and that's all we use in our home tank here, our 10,000 gallon home tank. So,
Awesome.
yeah. Other than that, it works
So-
great for us. I mean, I wish I would have had more time to get some raw facts for you. So it would have worked out.
Well, appreciate your time. You know, it's been a good 7 years. We appreciate the business.
Yeah, we appreciate it too.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.